Hey, thanks for joining. So today I'm going to tell another one of my Hollywood stories. So I'm going to talk about the day that I met Prince. So this is my most favorite celebrity story. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bells. There'll be more Hollywood stories and also video on fitness and wellness and that sort of thing. I'm sort of a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? A bit of a grab bag of things. So anyway, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Okay, let me get into it. So my second job in entertainment was for a producer of commercials. And we were on the lot called Hollywood Center Studios on the corner of Santa Monica and Las Palmas. It's a very small film lot. I was working there as a receptionist. And one day when I was sitting at my desk and to walk past my desk to go to the rest of the office, this woman who was the accountant, I remember she strolled past my desk, right? Very casual like, and kind of was walking slow and said, "So Prince is outside." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, he's out there. His car is out there." She goes, "It's parked on the street." And I remember her saying, "And he's got flowers on his dashboard." What? And just so you know, I mean, you could probably tell by my reaction, I'm such a huge Prince fan. I love, love, love him. Love him. And so her saying that, I was just like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, his car is out there, right?" And so the way that our offices were, and this is important, which is why I'm sharing this, is that there is this little side street that had the gate where you could drive on or walk on the lot. And our offices were literally like the first office. And then there was this street, and then Las Palmas is right here. And we parked our cars across the street and a lot across the street. So it was all fairly close, and our offices weren't deep on the lot. It was like the first office when you walked onto the lot. So I remember, I didn't realize it, but there was another woman in the office who was also a really big Prince fan, and I had no idea. And she was also really, really excited. So we proceeded to walk outside out of that gate to where he was, because there was like an editing studio that was on the corner outside of this studio lot. There was an editing bay there. And so we proceeded to walk out there back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, just hoping to see him. And we saw his car, and I remember thinking, I wonder why it's not purple, because it was a turquoise 7 Series BMW. I just remember that, and it did have flowers on the dashboard, and that's just seems like something that Prince would do. And it was parked on the street in front of like this editing place, but we did not see him. We did not spot him, and we were just slow walking back and forth and just so excited at the idea of possibly getting to see him, but we didn't see him. And then we sort of gave up, and we were at work, and I had to go back and get back to the phones and all of that. And I remember later on around lunchtime, I had to go to the bank, because have I mentioned it was the olden days, right? Where we still would go into a bank to make a deposit or withdrawal or whatever it was. So I had to actually physically go to the bank. And so I left the office. I remember I walked past, still hoping to see him, and he's not there. And I go across to that parking lot that I told you, it's like diagonal. I get my car. It was a Volkswagen Bug, which was also turquoise, which I just realized when I was thinking of this story, the same color as his car. Anyway, so I'm driving out of the parking lot, and you guys, diagonal across the street in front of that editing place was Prince in a bright green, lime green suit, standing on the corner. And I am just out of my mind at this point. I'm like, "Oh my God, there he is." And so I pull out of the parking lot. I kind of pull my car to the side. It's still running. put my little emergency brake on, I get out of the car, and I remember at the time I had long braids and I'm tall, and then I had on heels. I run over to him and he's standing on the corner. Look, my heart is like beating like this just remembering the story because it's the most thrilling thing that has ever happened. Because I just love him so much, right? And loved him so much. So I go over to him and I'm just like, I'm a fanatic. I'm out of my mind. I'm not cool. I'm not calm. I'm just like, oh, every video that you've ever seen of somebody who's so excited to meet, like that's who I was. And I've never been that way with any other person. But Prince, so he's there, and you guys, I'm towering over him because, in addition to just naturally being taller than him, I have on heels. And he's just looking up at me and he's not saying anything. So if I'm like this, he's just so calm because, it ain't his first rodeo. I'm not the first crazy fanatic that he's ever seen. He's calm, not his vibe is very cool though, like meaning he doesn't have a arrogant vibe or like leave me alone vibe. He doesn't have all of that. He seems almost like amused by me because I'm just losing it. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And I remember what was going through my head when I was talking to him was he's a musical genius. Oh my God, I can't believe he's standing in front. Like all of this is happening. My brain's going 1,000 miles a minute. And so was my mouth. And I remember saying, oh my God, we knew that you were here. And me and my friend, and we just work over there. Me and my friend, we've been walking back and forth. And we've been just lurking. And oh my God, we've been just trying to meet you. And then I remember he said something like, oh no. And he did like that eye roll. Like if you've ever seen him do that eye roll, he did that, guys. Like I remember him doing that eye roll and they said, oh no, like I can't believe you guys know I'm here, right? And I was like, oh my God, are you gonna be here for just a minute? Because I want to get my friend, she loves you and she wants to meet you. Are you gonna be here for can you just wait here for just a minute? And I remember him saying to me, I don't know, right? Very nice. So the vibe, guys, as crazy as I was, he was just calm and chill and nice. Like it was a really nice experience. And so I'm asking him to wait there and he says, I don't know, I don't know. And then I remember I had on the heels, I ran, but our office is not that far from there. I ran to get her. And so I go in the office, I'm like, oh my God, he's out there. He's out there. I just met Prince. Come on. I told him about you. Come on, let's go. Right. And you guys, she froze. She froze. She was so nervous that she could not bring herself to go out there. And she just wouldn't. I was like, come on. I told him about you. She froze. And I remember I went back out there. It was just like a couple minutes later and he was gone. And to this day, the most exciting, thrilling person that I have ever met, because part of it that I knew in that moment when I saw him was that I knew I was never going to see him again. I knew I'm not going to see him at Trader Joe's shopping or whatever it is. I'm never going to see him again. And I never did, except in concert. But I never saw him out in the wild, as they say. I never saw him like that ever again. And I knew that I wouldn't. There are certain people, like, especially back in the day in LA, that if you were just out and about, you would see Leonardo DiCaprio, or you would see Cameron Diaz, or you would see, insert whoever it is. You would just see them out and about. And that was though before camera phones. I think, and I don't live in LA proper now, so I don't really know how it is. Like if you have the same kind of celebrity sightings that you used to have back in the day, because now people can photograph you and videotape you and all of that. So I don't know, but I just knew that I would never see him again. And so, yeah, that was my experience with meeting Prince. And They tell you don't meet your heroes because they can disappoint you. It was like the opposite. It was the opposite. It is such a fond memory, one of my most favorite memories. And so, yeah, I was lucky enough to meet him. Is there somebody that you have met that was like that, that you met them and it was so exciting, or the reverse, you met somebody and they were really disappointing? Please leave it below in the comments. I'd love to read about it, because it's always so fun when you, especially if it's somebody that you love or you admire and you get to meet them and then they don't disappoint you. That's so, I don't know, it's just etched into your brain. So I thank you so much for listening to my kooky story of meeting Prince. And if this interests you, because I'll do some other stories like this, in addition to my content on menopause and everything else that I talk about on this channel and fitness, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And I thank you so much for listening and spending time with me. And until next time, take it easy.